Hello folks, in this video we will learn about one of the four essential object-oriented programming concepts, polymorphism. So polymorphism means when one function can be executed in a variety of ways depending on the object it is working on. And to demonstrate that, I will first of all create another class. I will name this class as Pokemon region, and inside this class I will have one string region and one int generation. Now I will also write one function public void info, and here I will pass the region as a parameter, and I will simply do south, and I will write this is the whatever is my region. Now I will come back to my main method. I will remove this hello Pokemon world, and I will create one object of this Pokemon region. Let's name the object as when equals to new Pokemon region. And now I will assign values to the region and generation. So when dot region equals to when, and when is the generation 3. So when dot gen equals to 3. And now I can also invoke this info method. So I can simply do when dot info, and here I have to pass the argument. So I will simply pass when dot region. So now if I run this program, what will the answer be? So let's see. So we are getting this is the when region, and that means this void info, this function is getting executed. Now what happens if I write few more functions of the same name? So I will write public void info, and instead of the region I will pass the generation as a parameter, and I will create another function of the same name once again, public void info, and this time I will pass both the parameters. So I will pass the region as well as the generation. And now inside the second function I will simply print out this is Pokemon generation and whatever is the generation. And in the third function I will simply do south. This is the whatever is the region, and then whatever is the generation of Pokemon generation, and then the generation. Now what happens when I run this program? So what function will it call? Let's see. So it's running, and this is calling, this is the when region. That means inside my Pokemon region class this function is getting executed, and these two functions are simply ignored. Now why is this happening? So this is also something that we call method overloading, and this is something that happens in compile time. So what happens is when the compiler is compiling this program, it is reading all these functions and it is differentiating the functions based on the arguments or parameters. So it's saying that this is taking the argument as the region, and this is taking the generation, and this is taking both. So these three functions have at least one differentiating factor. So these three functions must be different and should be called accordingly. Now instead of the parameters, there could be other differentiating factors also. For example, the return type. So all of these three functions have void return type, but one of them could have one int return type, and that means that function is different. So this is how it is differentiating the function, the functions, and we can also access them accordingly. So the second function we can write something when.info, and here I can pass the generation, and I can also invoke the third one. So I will write when.info, and I will pass both. So the when.region and also my when.generation. Now if I run, I will see that I am getting the results accordingly. So I am getting that all these three functions are getting executed, and this is also what we call polymorphism. So one function info is being executed in three different ways based on some differentiating factor. So here the differentiating factor is basically my argument. So this is how polymorphism works, but this is only compile time polymorphism. Now there is also something that is called runtime polymorphism, and that is something we will see now. So let's say after the info function I am creating another function, and let's name this function as attack, and here I will simply do south, and I will write Pokemon attacked. Now as you know, I can also access this function, so I will simply write when dot attack, and let me execute, and I'm getting Pokemon attacked at the end. Now what happens if this function has some like this class has some subclasses, so I will simply write two more classes, Latias. Like this is a part of inheritance, but for checking out like runtime polymorphism, we have to check it like this only. So this Latias is a subclass of the Pokemon region, and here inside I will have a name. So I have a string name, and here I will write the same function, public void attack, and here I will do a difference out. So I will write whatever is the name, use, and I will write the signature move of this Pokemon, and I have not yet sent this Pokemon. So this is Latias, and the signature move of Latias is Mist Ball. And then I will also create another function. Let's write it only, class Latios extends Pokemon region, and here I will again have the string of name, and then I will have the same function, public void attack, and here I will simply write name, that is Latios, use the signature move, and the signature move is Luster Purge. I believe one raises falls the special attack then, and the other the special defense, whatever is that. So now in my main method I will simply create two more objects of this Latias and Latios class, and we will see what happens. So right now if I execute, only the Pokemon attack from the Pokemon region class will be executed. Now how can we actually execute these methods? So let's do one thing. Let's comment out this line and create one Latias equals to my new Latias, and also let's create an object of the Latios class equals to new Latios. Then let's assign the names, Latias dot name equals to Latias, and Latios dot name equals to Latios, and then we can simply execute. So let's do one thing, Latias dot attack. Now what will happen? So we have commented out this line, and when we are doing Latias dot attack, we are getting Latias use Mist Ball, and we are really not getting this one, that is Pokemon attacked. Now what we can see over here is this, all of these three attacks, they are exactly the same. There is no differentiating factor. So this is what happens in the runtime, and this is what we call method overriding. Method overriding, and this is a runtime activity. So in the runtime it will see that whatever object, which object is calling it, and depending on that it will execute accordingly. So if I do Latias dot attack, it will do the same, and if I do Latias dot attack, it will execute accordingly. So if I now run, we can see both Latias used Mist Ball and Latios used Luster Purge. So it knows when to call which function. So whenever an object of the Latias class is calling it, it is running this attack function, and whenever one object of the Latios class is calling, it is calling this attack function. Now we can also uncomment the whoen.attack, and it will run accordingly. So let's run again, and let's see the result. So we can see Pokemon attack. So when an object of the Pokemon region class is calling, it is calling this attack function. So it knows when to call which function accordingly, and all of this is happening in the runtime. So this is also called method overriding, and this is also what we call runtime polymorphism. So these are the two types of polymorphism, one compile time and one runtime polymorphism, and that is the basic fundamentals. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.